Hey folks, Fernando doing another video for More Survivalists, and yesterday was the 20-year anniversary of the 2001 social, political, and economic collapse of Argentina. For those of you that are not familiar with it, back in 2001, December 2001, Argentina reached a stage in which it was no longer sustainable as a country. The debt was just too massive. It ended up defaulting on its national debt. The economy was completely destroyed. Yes, guys said things that sound familiar, but it ended up reaching a breaking point where we saw massive rioting and looting on the streets, and the president ended up resigning. Before that, martial law was declared. The basic constitutional rights were suspended, and well, that's where the rest is history. Let's put it that way. But I want to do like 10 most important lessons from all of this, giving that 20-year perspective. These are still things that are still going on. The impact goes way beyond just that initial stage. We ended up seeing how the banks closed their doors and took people's money, giving you back the local peso, even though you had US dollars in those bank accounts. They just converted it to the new devaluated peso at a massive loss. Inflation was through this skyrocket inflation, 25-30% year inflation, and since then we just saw it get worse pretty much every year. There's been people, accounts of people very clearly that died banging on those doors of banks, demanding their money giving back, and still no luck with it. This is one of the more iconic pictures of the 2001 collapse, and we saw this throughout the country. I remember it vividly. This is all very much fresh in my mind as part of so many years that have gone by. But I understand there's an entire generation of young men and women that maybe 20 something years old, and they didn't live through this as adults, and maybe don't know this as well. So getting to these points, the first one, point number one, let's go with this, is get yourself healthy and stay that way. And yeah, I guess this is one of those images, but it goes to show, try to stay in good shape, eat healthy, get yourself checked, and this is gonna be by far the most important thing you could possibly do. I suppose that most people understand this, but I don't think it gets said enough in the survival and prepper community. This is your main tool. Your body is the main tool you have, the main instruments just to get by through life. So if you don't take care of it, believe me, you're going to be missing it when you need it the most. And combined with the stress that you see during situations like these, man, you want to get yourself sorted out, and you probably won't have the economic means, the time. Maybe there won't even be a doctor available to look after something that you could have taken care of before. Number two would be staying positive. Again, one of those images in which you say, yes, but this is the way it is. If your body is your main tool, the software that runs it is your mind, your emotions, how well you are. The stress that you may feel during times like these may end up ruining everything else. If you're not well mentally, then physically it's going to be following you in that wrong direction. So try to stay positive during these very difficult, very hard times. It's that half full glass instead of half empty. Yes, you have to be extremely positive so as to not let yourself get depressed, get down, and give up, because a lot of people do give up. One of the things we saw was that suicide rates skyrocketed, 500% increase during those times of the crisis, and it was something that kept on happening over the years. Number three, I guess a lot of people that are interested in this sort of thing already understand, but having food, yes, that's going to be one of your main priorities. One of the thing that you're going to be missing when those stores start getting looted, when the economy means that everything costs 2-3 times as much. You guys in the United States are seeing some of this already, but believe me, it can get a lot worse, and probably will. So having seen this firsthand, having gone to stores from one day to the next and seeing not prices go up like you guys are seeing, but doubling and tripling in just a matter of a couple days, even in a matter of hours, seeing this before your very own eyes, it's quite shocking. But the thing you understand is, if you don't have this stuff when you need it, and your economy is not there so as to support it, then this is by far the thing you're going to be missing the most. Over the years, after many, many years of being in survival and preparedness, talking with people from different places in Venezuela, other countries that have gone through very rough times, food is by far the main priority when it comes to stuff that you want to start stocking up. And moving to number 4, watch your back, stay safe. Crime is the other thing that makes people lose sleep over. If you ask any Argentine the things that worry them the most, it's going to be crime, it's going to be the economy. It's usually going to be in that order as well, even though the economy is often one of the triggers for some of the worst problems you end up seeing as a society. Still, the reality is that at any moment you can be targeted. This the typical image of someone walking down the street and being attacked by a couple of guys in a motorcycle, that happens all day long in Argentina. And it may just be your purse, or you may end up getting shot, like I covered in a recent video. So these are the things that you definitely want to start making changes as of right now. You want to be more aware, you want to be more alert, and get used to thinking this way. I know it's not comfortable, but believe me, when you end up seeing crime as we saw, you don't have any other choice. I mean, you could definitely just stick your head in the sand and just expect, hope for the best. But that's usually the way in which, you're going to be targeted and hit very fast if you keep that going on for a while. And also these days, the cyber crime is also something you want to be careful with. Lots of scams and fraud is committed online, through emails. They're getting very good at this. I saw one recently where they almost got me. It looked like one of the the companies that I use do this with banking, with different services, and if they get lucky, they just hit someone that happens to have that same company, and they try to trick you into, we're having problems with your account, you need to change this, you need to update your personal information, and it looks very legit. So you always, no matter how legit it looks, you always want to contact the company directly and verify with them. And having a firearm and knowing how to use it, that's going to be number 5. And sure, most people that watch this channel probably do this already. Most people that watch this channel probably don't have actual training on using firearms for self-defense. And if you don't have the training, you may think you'll be able to do things, but that's just going to be a false sense of security. If you haven't got the training, you'll just be counting on getting lucky and whatever it is that you've been trying out working for you when you need it. May well be the case, but you want to have that training. Instead of having 5, 10, 12 different firearms, have one and get that class and know how to use it. That's going to be a lot more useful when bad things actually end up happening. Number 6, having cash and storing a good amount of it for those rainy days. And yes, it seems counterintuitive that with very high inflation, you may want to have cash. But again, having gone through this, when those banks close, when those ATMs run dry, when you're not allowed to get any cash out of your bank anymore, or you're just very limited. For us, it was 300 pesos. It was kind of like $300 back in the day. It would be a similar conversion, 300 a week. That was all you were allowed to get out of the bank, and even less after that. So imagine how people were, going nuts over this sort of thing. You want to have at least a couple months worth of expenses of cash for your rainy day fund. Other than food and something to defend yourself, this is one of the most useful tools by far. You can convert this into pretty much most of the physical things you may end up needing, most of the services you may end up needing. If you have a good, cash is king. That is very much true. And again, many times I've actually got some, not so bad deals, or actually very good deals, because they have the money right there. And when you have it and others don't, and also remember, many times when these things happen, and if you start seeing the infrastructure suffering, the grid going down, and some of those, the electronic car gadget readers and such, if that stops working, then cash will be the only thing they accept. Also, because of an economic reality with these different companies, it's often the case that gas stations will just want cash because they're buying. You cannot ask for, when you're using your credit card, it works for them like like credit. They'll get paid later. When things are really bad, there's no later for nothing. They want to have the cash right there at that same moment. Number 7, having precious metals, and these days having Bitcoin as well. I know a lot of people don't understand how this even works, and I get it. I was in that place as well. These days, though, I feel very confident after several years of knowing about it and using it myself. Yeah, gold, silver, and Bitcoin. Those are the things I see as the hedge against inflation. The classic will always be gold. Silver as well. Silver, again, having gone through these things, having had to bug out and leave my country with that, silver gets heavy, man. If you have even a moderate amount of wealth stored in silver, believe me, it's going to be heavy, and there's times in which you have to go light. You have to be very, flexible and mobile. The worse things are, the more agile you want to be, and silver really does not help all that much. I'm not saying it's a bad choice. I definitely see it as a good one, but gold has the advantage of being a lot more compact in terms of stored wealth. And then, of course, the more compact of them all, it's going to be Bitcoin. And it's also going to be the one that it's not only going through the roof even now, but it's also the easiest one to trade for whatever currency you need around the world. So I'm a big believer in it. Never put any of your money in this if you cannot afford to lose it. That's maybe one of the things to keep in mind with Bitcoin. Now, of all the things I bought over the years, by far the best one in terms of how good of an investment it's been, it has been Bitcoin. I'm not going to be getting rid of my gold, my silver. Those are all fine. But Bitcoin is definitely a huge hedge. And may they make it illegal? Yeah, maybe some country will. You know what? If a country makes it illegal, you maybe want to get yourself out of that country. And more on that later. But Bitcoin will allow you to land pretty much anywhere in the world. The moment you have a bank account open, you can trade your Bitcoin for whatever local currency works for you. So yes, that is a big point right there. Number 8, and yes, on the same topic, if things are really, really bad, you just may not want to be there anymore. It's a false way of looking at things of, well, if things are bad here, they always have to be bad elsewhere. It's not always the case. It's actually the other way around. If things are really bad and you're thinking about leaving and other people are doing that already, there's a very good chance that things are definitely better elsewhere. And this idea of just bugging out to the wild and living off the land, or just going Robinson Crusoe or Little House on the Prairie and going back to the 18th or 19th century, that really does not fly. It's more of a movie thing, a fantasy that people have. This is just a fancy refugee. You want to be these guys. You want to be an expat. Expat is always going to be better than refugee, no matter how fancy or how cool 511 pants you have. If you're walking with a backpack to a better place, yeah, you are a refugee. So this is going to be involving lots of things that I've discussed in the channel over the years, and actually dedicated an entire book to this in terms of moving elsewhere. That's going to be my second book, Bugging Out and Relocating. Is based on my own journey through this. And yeah, finding a better place to live because things are just too dangerous. The economy is just too much of a mess, and there's really no hope of seeing things any better anytime soon. And it was definitely a good call because things have only gotten worse. But you want to be the guy that does these things ahead of time. You need to have a good plan. You need to have some options. Where are you going to be finding employment? What are your options in terms of actually having residency, or even better, citizenship wherever you're going? This is something that a lot of people could apply for through their heritage, through their family, and don't. And it's often the case that if you do it in time, you can get this very, very cheap. It's not all that expensive if you do it yourself, or even with that little bit of investment of getting someone to do the paperwork for you. But it is priceless. When it comes to this time, there's just no equivalent to the power of landing somewhere else as a citizen and just going on with your life. And while you're doing that, try to be smart and find a place that you're happy with, where you find the things that you're missing and no longer have. You're going to be looking for what? Security, financial stability, a future, not getting shot. Okay, be smart about it. Don't go to the third world just because you saw a fancy picture or you think it's cool living in Brazil and all the hot Latinas are going to be going after you because you're a gringo. It doesn't really work that way. Probably you're going to be scammed, shot, and tricked. Find a place where you find really things that you're missing and you want to have. And yeah, be smart about it. There's lots of different options out there. There's probably something, if things really get all that bad, there's probably somewhere where you can have a very nice, decent life. Okay, and that would be, yes, point number one. Have fun, enjoy your life, because it is damn short. And that's the point of being prepared and surviving and being alive. If you're not having a good time, if you're not enjoying it, then, and it's all these little moments, maybe time with friends or family, or just, watching a movie with the kids, or fooling around with, friends and having a good time. But make sure you stay not only positive, as I mentioned in a previous point, but try to having good moments, because that's really all there is. These are the things that at the end of the day, the sum of it makes up for a good life. And yes, finally, point number 10, of course, prepare. Preparedness really helps. I've been through this myself in numerous occasions, and I've had, like most people, little events, stuff that's mostly like small emergencies or accidents or stuff that happens in life. I divide it mostly in three categories. Things that are unavoidable in life. You're going to be getting old, eventually getting sick. Stuff's going to be happening. And then the things that are likely, having a car accident or some of the more common natural disasters in your area, you may end up seeing those. And then there's, of course, a more far-fetched thing, kind of like what we're seeing right now globally, but it could still happen. And yes, you can prepare for that as well. If you're smart about it, you'll make good decisions and be in a much better place so as to deal with them. And regarding that, final point, if you are looking to get started into survival and preparedness from a realistic, practical point of view, I always recommend my own books, which is what I do. And the first one is this one on the right, about my experience in Argentina, surviving the economic collapse, a moral survival manual. Second one is the one on the left, bugging out and relocating, my experience, looking for better places, some of the decisions I've made, some of the hard lessons made, and the difference between bugging out and relocating. These are two separate different things, and you need to understand how each one plays out and have plans for them. Finally, Street Survival Skills is my latest book and covers a lot of the practical stuff about all of this. Again, that's my latest book, and it's many years of classes, courses, stuff learned in different countries from different people. I think it's a pretty good book for people, especially if you're getting started or even if you're a veteran. Trust me, you're going to be learning something from that book as well. Links for the books are going to be there below. Links for the Coinbase account, which is the one I use for cryptocurrency. Coinbase is by far the largest, safest trader, and I use it myself. And if you use the affiliate link below, you will get $110 if you buy $100 of crypto. I get 10 as well for the referral, so it works both ways, benefiting both sides, which is always good. But if you're wondering about it, that's really my advice. Look at Coinbase, open an account there. It's as safe as it gets, really, and you'll get your feet wet and get a feeling of what it's like to trade with coin. Even if you don't fully understand it, if you just want to give it a go, see how that works, it's helped me enormously, and that's why I ended up recommending it to others as well. Folks, that's going to be all for now. See you on our next video. Take care.